With all these new cards, it's going to be hard to stay on target. I'm Faith, and I'm here with Jrod and his Dudeness. FFG gave us a ton of spoilers, and we're going to make our way through them. Before we begin, we politely ask you to touch that like button and smash the subscribe button.
Hey everyone, Jrod here. So we had some unfortunate news in the SWU community. Nerd Parker, the fine gentleman who takes care of SWUDB for everyone, gives us that amazing platform for free. His local game store unfortunately had a break-in, and as a big thank you to Parker for doing all the amazing things he does for free, helping out his local game store that has a GoFundMe up, and we'll put a link in the description of this podcast. So if you can, are able to donate to his store to help him get back on their feet, that would be great. I believe, reading from the GoFundMe, the losses were like close to like $50,000 or something like that. Like it was a massive amount. Like they basically got robbed like twice, and it was on the owner's birthday of all days. So if we could just show local game store owner some love, and if you can donate, even the littlest bit counts, would be great. Truthfully, they're already at 94% of their goal, but if we can get them there to 100%, that would be amazing. So just wanted to let them know, and shout out to Parker for being just a great human being and a vital part of the wonderful Star Wars Unlimited community.
Shout out to Parker. As we're talking about Star Wars Unlimited, we have a new set coming out very soon. We have this podcast coming out, as always, on Monday, and so we are less than 2 weeks away until pre-release.
Woo-woo.
So let's look into some cards. I'm going to start us off with Relentless Fire Spray. So Relentless Fire Spray is a double aggression 6-cost 4/6 space unit, which has an interesting ability. On attack, you ready this unit. Now, you can only use this ability once each round. But I think this is interesting. I do think it's a slightly overcosted. I would have really, really liked this to cost 5, particularly because all of the pilots that we have, or most of the pilots that we have at least, will deploy around that 6 resource mark. And so this will be unfortunately exhausted if you're playing it on curve in order to deploy your leader. But I think it's really cool to have like a card that if you do put your leader on this, it's going to get to attack twice.
So I think it's an interesting card. Definitely, obviously, could be used in hero and villainy. My big thing with this would be like a Luke leader could be good. Even Poe leader could be good with this. So there's a lot of different options with him. It's definitely an interesting card. It being a 4/6 scares me a little bit, but being able to attack twice and doing 8 on the turn. But like Faith said, the good thing about Fet's Fire Spray is it comes in readied when you have Jango or Boba as your leader. So that's kind of like the real benefit of it. This guy not being readied, and it's only a 4/6, not a 5/6, I think hurts its playability a little bit, but could still see some interesting play with this card, I will say.
I think there's probably a card we're going to discuss a little bit later that would make this card potentially viable in let's say like a Luke deck. We'll get to that card in a little bit.
My initial feelings that it feels a little slow because you're paying 6 to do literally nothing, hoping it stays around to the following turn, attack with it again. And the best case scenario here is you're buffing it with some sort of pilot or something else, right? So you even have to wait an action to equip it, and then that gives your opponent another action to then respond to it. So to me, it just feels way too slow to actually be useful. We'll see though. But my favorite part about this card actually is that the credited artist is called Space Goose. I don't know, that just seems ridiculous to me. If this guy's name actually Space Goose with 3 O's, I don't know, but
Space Goose.
I feel like I'm being trolled here a little bit, but I don't know, right? Like I don't know.
I yeah, that's true. I think it definitely needs upgrades. Maybe like 2 twice the prides, and then just try to like 1 turn kill. Hopefully,
that sounds incredible. Yeah, but let's hope your opponent is anything other than good. I guess I don't know.
It's true. Dudeness, which card from the spoiler section has you thinking?
Okay, so at first I want to talk about Kazuda Ziono? I don't know. I haven't the slightest clue who this guy is.
As the big Star Wars person on the podcast, I also don't know who this is. I know what show he's from, but I haven't watched it. It's for like the kids, like Rebel show or whatever it is.
Resistance or something like that.
Resistance, right? Yeah, it's Resistance. That's what it is. Yeah. So
never seen it. We'll never see it, but he seems cool. He's a yellow heroism. His front side says, for an action, exhaust, a friendly unit loses all abilities for this round, and then you may take an extra action after this one. So you can do a thing and then immediately follow it up with the following action. At first, I thought that was pretty bad. I didn't really see the reason why you would want to do that. But then later on, via some sort of tweet with Tyler, it came out that this will also cancel the negative effects of Trench Run and Heroic Sacrifice on that unit, meaning that you can give it the unit plus attack and receive literally 0 downside. And with the case of Heroic Sacrifice, you even get to cycle the card, which is just incredible. To me, that's where this guy's going to see play, is because of that. The flip side, for an epic action, if you have 4 resources, you can deploy it as just a 2/5 on the ground. That you're pretty much never doing that. But he comes into play as a 3/3 pilot that has the same on attack. You choose any number of friendly units, they lose all abilities for this round.
And just so I'm clear, because I didn't see Tyler's tweet there or whatever it was, he's saying that because it says they lose all abilities, that's a permanent like static effect. It means he cannot gain an ability afterwards, is what you're saying. Because that's how I would imagine that works with like Heroic Sac or whatever.
Correct, yeah. So like that to me seems pretty spicy. He actually does come out at 4, which is like, those are the leaders that I like, right? So I'm curious to see if he'll be any good, but the ability to play Trench Run or Heroic Sacrifice with no downside just sparks an immense amount of joy, and I have to pursue it.
Yeah, that seems like a really cool thing, and definitely something that I think could be a powerful leader for sure.
So just something to note, what Tyler clarified, or what was clarified in the stream at least, was that a slight adjustment to the rules is that if you lose an ability, let's say like Sentinel, you cannot regain Sentinel for the length you lose it for. So some cards already say like this card loses an ability, like loses Sentinel, so you can't give it Sentinel with another, either through an upgrade or a event for the rest of the phase. And because this says they lose all abilities, that's why they like things like the Heroic Sacrifice or the Trench Run don't trigger off, because they cannot, once they lose something, in this case everything, they can't regain it.
Gotcha, makes sense.
And then Dudeness, we got a couple units that were kind
of... Don't you dare.
All right, Jrod, we got some units that maybe would be helpful with this. Any one of them spark your fancy?
Yeah, absolutely, because there's nothing to do with that guy. It's got everything to do with Chancellor Palpatine. And realistically, Chancellor Palpatine, one of his biggest weaknesses in this current meta is he can't control space early. There wasn't that good ship to play early on turn 1. Now let me turn your focus to the Fireball. It's a 2-cost yellow cunning heroism, space unit, 3/3. Already great stat line for a 2-cost. Resistance vehicle fighter, and notably is a heroic unit, and it has ambush. Man, that's real good. So basically, I'm just killing every ship on turn 1. But you're like, but Jrod, but your ship's going to live, and you want him to die with Palpatine. You're right. When the regroup phase starts, deal 1 damage to this unit. So if your opponent has 2 damage, or those pesky A-Wings, this guy will still be alive for a turn. And then he'll die, and you can flip Palpatine, and everyone's happy and hunky-dory. So this guy is going to be slotted very nicely into my Palpatine list for this upcoming set. Whether I play him competitively or just for fun, who knows? But this guy will definitely, 3 of these will definitely be in that deck.
Thank you. And it should be noted that with the leader, or with Khazad-dû's effect, it does say until for this round. And if you're familiar with this game, you'll know that the round ends after the regroup phase. So technically, you regroup first, and then the round ends. And
I thought regroup was first. Interesting.
With this, to my knowledge, Fireball will not take damage with this unit.
Interesting. So it doesn't actually work as well with Palpatine. I thought it did that, because then it'll die before you could and then Palpatine could flip, but the round's already over. And it goes to the next round.
Oh yeah. You still have to end. You still have to end your there'll be no timing for you to do an active action.
Right. Which,
but it will let you, though. What it will let you do is you could at least flip him to go on villain side on turn 2, so like on turn 3.
No, because it wouldn't, because it still died the previous turn. I thought regroup phase.
Oh yeah. Then you got to think of the next card that was also spoiled. Like, why would this card, this leader was spoiled with these 2 cards?
Yeah, no, I get that. I know why he was actually. I was just kind of trying to meme, but I mean, it's still good for Palpatine. It's not bad by any means, but it's a little bit worse against like the 2/3s. It's still really good against the 1/3s, because then after the second turn it'll die. See, but the timing's just so bad for Palp. Oh, it's so sad. I don't know.
No, but what against the 3/2s though? 3/2s.
But there's no hero blue creature yet in the set. I don't think.
Here, there's the green 3/2. I'm saying,
but I'm playing blue. I'm playing blue. Come on, I'm playing.
Sorry,
blue.
I guess your opponent plays a 3/2, you can still ambush this into it and then flip Papa.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so that's what. Thank you. I'm glad that someone knows. Let's continue on with some cards to talk about, however. And, well, we did get a couple of them. I did find a card that was interesting and pretty simple card in that it's Darth Vader. And Darth Vader we also got Luke, which I'm sure someone else is going to want to speak on. But Darth Vader is a 6 cost, 7/7 unit, which isn't that impressive, but he does have a pilot ability, costing 3, still an aggression villainy, and attached unit gains on attack. You may deal 1 damage to a unit. If a unit is defeated this way, you may deal 1 damage to a unit or base. It gives +3/+3, which is kind of fun because that means that this card is basically like a lightsaber that we've seen in other sets. The general 3 cost for 3/3. Of course, this has to go on a vehicle. It does have this on attack ability, which kind of is telling you, hey, ping off a damage on a unit, and then maybe you can do it again. But where this card gets really spicy is when you combo it with one of the other cards that we got, which is Eject. And Eject is a simple card which costs 2 and lets you remove a pilot from a ship and bring it onto the ground arena. So this card is costing you 3. You have to put it on a ship, make that ship really jacked, and then for 2 cost, you basically bring this out onto the ground as a 7/7 unit for 2 cost, essentially.
And you draw a card, right?
And you draw a card, yes. So that's something that's going to be a kind of a sneaky surprise that I think we're going to see a little bit of. There'll be some decks that are going to try it at least.
It is important to note that Darth Vader is a legendary, and this is one of the first legendaries I've seen, despite that we've seen most of them, that I would actually want to open.
Him and Han, I think, are the 2 that are pretty good. Person.
Because most of the legendaries do not spark joy.
We'll be talking about some of the other legendaries as well. Dudeness, what's another card that we got spoiled that you want to talk about?
I want to talk about They Hate That Ship. This is a 1 cost aggression heroism event that says an opponent creates 2 TIE Fighter tokens and readies them. Then you play a vehicle unit from your hand. It costs 3 less. So you can either play a 4 cost vehicle on turn 1, or you can play a 3 cost vehicle on turn 1, and then put Poe on it as a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the line that I like the most, because if you get the new Set 4 Falcon, you can play that, and then equip Poe onto it, and you have a turn 1 5/5?
I think it's a 6/5 because it gets +1 for each pilot on it.
It gets +1 for each pilot, thank you.
Or
That's
you could
pretty
play
good.
Set 1 Falcon on it and hit for 5 on turn 1.
You could do that.
Just
That's
saying.
also pretty strong, but then you are putting yourself down a resource for the rest of the, which is not exactly ideal, but it's certainly a play. But the follow-up that I like to the other Falcon is that you can then slap Chewie on him the next turn, because the Set 4 Falcon can have 2 pilots, and you can be swinging for 10 damage on turn 2, which does require a 1, 2, 3 card combo in your first 8 cards, but it's still pretty spectacular.
And I like that as well because it was, first off, was nice thing about this Falcon as opposed to the other Falcon. The Set 1 Falcon is in cunning, so you do limit yourself in your color combinations, where this set's Falcon is heroic. So as Dudeness was saying, kind of run a red-green combo. As well, Chewie works really nice because it gives you that leader protection by not being able to be defeated and by not being able to be returned to your hand. It built into the ship, so it just gives that extra protection because Poe, as his leader, doesn't actually make the ship a leader. So that's one of the differences. So that's a nice protection that I'll offer.
So I was actually trying to run this earlier, just trying to test some stuff out. Unfortunately, there were some issues with that, so I couldn't actually try it. But I was trying it with Poe Yellow because I wanted both Falcons, and I also wanted the Sabine's Masterpiece as well because it gave me like exhausting resources, or in red I could deal 1 to a unit or base, which was kind of nice. And I had the AT hauler, the 4/5, So my thing there was like, if I can just suit that thing up and just end you before you can even kill it, I don't have to care about its when defeated, you know? So that's kind of where my head went, and I got to play Nabat Village with it, which also, like, obviously lets me get my combo start more often.
Yeah, that's the base. The for those that don't know, that let you draw an extra 3 cards to start. You start off with 9 cards, but then you don't get to mulligan, and you have to put 3 cards back.
Yeah. So basically, it lets you just search for deeper and to try to get the combo pieces that you would need to have. They hate that ship on turn 1. I don't hate the green side of things. I know people have been playing Poe Green a lot, but I think he's a little bit more aggressive, and I think I want to pair him with yellow a bit more. I also was trying the Mandalorian, which was kind of an interesting tag deck, but it was a solid deck for sure.
So
I
just
love
with
the turncoat as well within that.
just a little bit on they hate that ship. This is the card I think that helps Fire Spray if you're gonna run Fire Spray, the new Fire Spray, because it does let it come out a little bit early. So that way, like, I'm running a double red Luke deck. So yeah, just playing him on 6 really hurts because it's like, oh, well, then Luke can't attack. But if I can play this out early, then it lets me maybe put Luke on and then get Luke swings for 16, basically 8 and 8. And you can obviously make that stronger with other things. So you could get like a 1-turn kill basically if you stat it up enough.
Yeah.
A couple interesting things. This does make your opponent create 2 TIE fighters, which are 1/1 units in space. A couple ways to get around that. One, if your opponent claims, and then you can them having ready chips doesn't hurt you at all. And as well, this just lets you play a vehicle, and TIE fighters are always in space. So if we get some fun ground vehicles that you want to play with this,
I didn't even think about that.
Then those fighters in space won't really do anything.
Yeah. The one thing to consider too with Dudeness's line is only wanting to play the set 4 Falcon is to note that they're playing Tarkin Town, and that can be a very precarious situation there. So just keep that in mind, because Tarkin Town, if you put Poe on and they attack it with both TIE fighters and Tarkin Town, will kill it. So basically just get to kill your card for free, and you basically are down 2 cards. So just keep that in mind. It's definitely that's why I kind of like the yellow Falcon a bit better, and then I can like bounce it back to my hand if they don't finish it off or whatever.
But this is why you have R2 in your deck. You have
you could also have R2.
Pilot R2. Then put it on.
Fun fact I found out today, that if you have Pilot R2 on a ship, Poe cannot attach to said ship. You must attach Poe first, and then you can put R2 on.
Oh, because the way that Poe reads is with to a ship without a pilot on it.
Yep.
Did not know that, so definitely messed that up a couple times. So just keep that in mind.
I actually didn't think about that interaction. That's to know. Jrod, what other cards sparked your fan?
So this is a kind of more of a meme card, I think, but I'm going to talk about the Death Star plan, because I got to talk about Death Star plan, right? The 2-cost neutral card. When attached unit is attacked, the attacking player takes control of this upgrade and attaches it to a unit they control. Attached unit gains. The first unit you play each round costs 2 less. And it gives +0/+0, and it's a legendary. This is an interesting card. I think how this could see play is if everyone tries to go heavy space, and there's like some deck early that wants to play something on the ground that's pretty resilient, like yellow R2 is a 2/4, it's pretty hard to kill. And then slapping the Death Star plans on it, and then you can just start playing stuff cheaper. Because once you put it on something that first turn, you already get the bonus on it. So the next action you play, you could play what you normally would have been able to play, and then it just ramps you twice from there. And if everyone's just hard focusing on space and doesn't really have a ton of ways to deal with the ground units, or vice versa, I think this card could be very powerful and really push the game to a much faster. Like I could see like Piet, like a Piet Devers, like a with the big capital ship stuff, that could definitely potentially slot this card in and see if it's usable there. Playing the 1/4s they like to play early that people don't really want to kill, like Poggle or whatever, something like that. I think you could pop this on and get some value on after, or off of it after.
Which aspect did you say this was in?
Neutral.
Oh, so we have a neutral legendary.
Yeah, it is neutral.
And that's surprising to have a neutral legendary before a heroic or villainy legendary.
Oh, you mean like I got just what you're saying. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
definitely weird. But I kind of like it. It's interesting. It's thematic. It's fun. It's going to be hilarious in Twin Sun. Let me
For
just say
sure.
that much right now. Like, it's going
Absolutely.
in all of my Twin Suns decks, just for like. I've already been planning on making a group hug Twin Suns deck. Which, in case you don't know what a group hug means, it's like my goal is to just help everyone else do stuff, so people don't want to attack me. Is my goal. But there's not enough of that stuff yet. But this card definitely will go into it. Like, I love playing. What's the bounty that heals you?
yes.
Target?
Top target. Yeah, yeah. So if you play top target on one of your opponent's units, then everyone's like, "Oh, I want to kill that," because they want to obviously heal their base. So it's like, great. So the focus is off me now for one resource. So you guys focus on somebody else. Don't mind me. Don't look over here. I get to be friendly. So
Yeah, my one
Well,
point with the card is that it's legendary.
you hate all legendaries.
Because this card will spark the opposite of joy if I open it in a pack.
I
that's
don't know.
fair.
I'll be excited. I'll be excited for it. Not like overly. It'd be cool. It'd be cool.
That's fair. I want to now turn my attention from Vader that I talked about earlier to Luke Skywalker. We're getting our third different aspect for Luke, who is now tied with Boba Fett on having different aspects that he's in. Of course, Boba Fett actually is also in villainy, but if we're going to not talk about alignment aspects of heroism and villainy, we will look at the command heroism 2-cost Luke Skywalker, who is a 3/2 ground unit, who has a pilot cost, and he is one of the few units, I think maybe the only one, whose pilot cost is more than its actual cost. It's 3. If this upgrade would be defeated, you may instead move him to the ground arena as a unit and exhaust him, and he gives +3/+2. So this is a unit which is going to basically have 2 lives. You put him in space, giving your space unit +3/+2. Again, talking about with Vader, giving him +3/+3. Having 3 extra power on your unit to attack right away is pretty strong. And then again, if they do get rid of him, he just goes to the ground arena.
So, clarification here. Does this work if the unit he's attached to is defeated, or only if they use a defeat effect on the upgrade itself? It
To
says that this
my
upgrade would be defeated. Like, are they defeated when the unit it's attached to is defeated, or they just go to the discard just as part of the unit being defeated?
to my knowledge, it is even if the unit's defeated, or if the unit's bounced or anything, that all makes the upgrade be defeated. That's
Because if
my
that's the
understanding
case,
of the rules.
I like this card a lot because you
Yes.
get to double dip, right?
It's very
Like,
good
oh,
if
okay, I have to
that's the
put it on
case.
the guy, attack with it. If you kill it, I still get the 3/2 on the ground you have to deal with. That's fantastic. But if it's only triggering whenever you use a disabling Fang Fighter or something like that on it, I'm less excited about it.
I think if it's that way, it's definitely trash. Definitely not even playable. But if it is like if it can be waylaid and you get to put down a 3/2, I'm like, okay, sick, sounds good. Love this card then. Card's amazing. And like I remember this card was one that MJ said they loved. It was one of their favorite cards in the set. So I would venture to guess that it is if it gets like waylaid or the unit gets
Works the way
defeated, it works the way we want it to work.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
also
so
important to note, this has the Force keyword, or trait, I should say, which
Does
there was not many upgrades that give the Force trait, so that can be pretty spicy in and of itself.
do the pilots give their traits?
no, they do not give their traits, but
What?
it is they do not give their trait.
Well,
What?
Like Anakin Skywalker is another one of the or Vader. All are force have the force trait, but upgrades do not give traits.
Upgrades don't give traits.
Yeah. So things like force throw state if you have a force unit. Things like the from last set, that ship, I think it's called Padawan Starfighter.
Mhm.
That one says if you have a force unit or force upgrade.
Ooh.
So those ones would count because those are now force upgrade.
So now you're talking with the Padawan. If you pop Luke on it, that's what, like a 5/5?
It gets plus. Yeah, it's a 5/5. It's a 5/6.
6. Okay. Even
It's a
better.
5/6 on turn 2. that even when that's defeated, you still get your 3/2 on the other side, and then you can use your like it binds all things. That
Yeah, it's interesting.
or your Jedi lightsaber. Give that to Luke on the ground.
like
Just a reminder: Luke does come exhausted.
Yeah, that's fine.
He was terrified that he bailed out. I love this art. This art's very beautiful.
He's also just a rare, so that's also kind of neat. I just assumed that Luke would be a legendary again, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's not. He's just rare.
I think there is a benefit to having like. That's why I'm a little. I understand why Vader is not a legendary or is a legendary, but it's nice to have them at a little bit lower rarity, just for people that maybe aren't don't buy every single card. They can just see them a little. Because people know who Luke is, so that's something exciting to get.
Yeah, they did say for this set though, however, that you will see legendaries more frequently in boxes you have in the first year, and you're going to see rares slightly less than you did in the first year.
Your pack will still have a rare or legendary, but because you're going to see legendaries more often, you're going to see rares.
Correct. So you
They also increased.
The average I think before was like 2 to 4 for legendaries in a box, roughly. And I imagine we'll see like 3 or 4 being the lowest, and up to like 7 or 6 probably in a box, which is good. It's nice to have that, since like Dudeness said, that some of these legendaries are a little suspect, to say the least. But we'll have to wait and see, obviously, for full understanding of them all. But at least that way, you have a better chance of getting them. And truthfully, it'll make some of the rares worth a bit more in the second market, because even the good ones were like $5, which I mean is good for players for sure. But having some things, the secondary market needs to have some cards that are worth a bit of money for the game to be healthy. Just to be very clear, like, you don't want all the cards to be worthless, because then that means there's no one collecting the game and that everyone's just like playing it, which is fine, but it means that the game's not big enough. So
that's what the carbonite packs are for, though, right?
Don't disagree, absolutely, because I know myself, I scaled back my regular boxes and I am getting some carbonite boxes. So there's that. And actually, I actually scaled back my overall purchasing of boxes, mostly because I want to be able to draft more. Like last set, I got 2 cases. I drafted once and was like, okay, I don't want to do it anymore unless it's like free, because like I didn't need any cards. So like to go draft, like it was fine, but I'd rather just do like Twin Suns or something else. I didn't like need anything. So I wanted to avoid that feeling this time. So I actually scaled back on what I'm purchasing so I can do more drafts and have some more fun with that format.
I want to just briefly talk about another rare. It's a new base. It's a 34 health base. It's called Lake Country, and it is aspect lift. Do we think that this will be the new card to define the metagame, Dudeness and Jrod?
No.
Yes. No, I don't think so. It's so hard. There's not enough cards in a single aspect to be good enough to make this worth it. Someone will try, and maybe it could be okay, and I could definitely be wrong. I definitely think that Chancellor Palpatine has the best odds to make this good, as he allows you to play both heroism and villainy cards. And obviously I'm a Chancellor Palp guy anyway, so I'm going to say something about him every time I can. But I do think that he allows you to play more cards and get the most benefit from having the extra HP, as he also just indirectly heals as well. So, but being stuck on one aspect is definitely rough. I could see maybe Twin Suns as being good, but also in Twin Suns it's tough because you just like people are just going to attack you first because you have the most HP.
I also just wonder, like, you could be running a double aspect. So is that 4 extra life worth not running vigilance, cunning, command, aggression? I mean, if you're playing aggression, like you're probably trying to play aggro. So does that 4 life mean anything? If you're playing command, like like, getting that ramp is just a nice feature. Vigilance is great, going to heal you up. Cunning can tap them down, and so I just don't see how giving up those cards is going to be worth it if you want to play single aspect. Sorry, Dudeness. Any of your cards spark joy for you?
Yeah, definitely. One card I really liked that they had on the draft stream was a 1-cost cunning event called Punch It. It's a tactic, and it says attack with a vehicle unit. It gets +2/+0 for this attack. So it's a little miniature surprise strike for one that only works on vehicles, but I don't see many aggro vehicle yellow decks not playing this card. because just for 1 to get +2 is pretty solid. There's action, efficiency, economy, whatever you want to call it, because you can just play this and then attack with the vehicle unit right away. Get a little extra damage in. This could be a finisher. Could just be a curve filler. It only costs 1. So you can play this and 3 surprise strikes and 3 break-ins, ? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you would.
Along with, definitely I'm already brewing a yellow-red Kaz deck with Punch It, Surprise Strike, Break-In, Trench Run, Heroic Sacrifice. It doesn't leave much room for units, but I'll definitely have to figure it out.
And they hate that ship.
And they hate that ship.
Yes, that's a lot of events you have in your
Oops all spells.
Yep. Jrod.
Yep.
For yourself?
Yeah. So I have one which is definitely I feel like more of a mid-range card, but I really like this card. I think when played properly, this can be game winning. It's a 1-cost event hunting heroism called Jam Communications, and it is a trick, notably, but it's heroism. Look at an opponent's hand and discard an event from it, and it's a rare. I think this card is going to be highly playable, and against some control decks between this and Spark of the Rebellion, Yellow Heroism has so many ways now to just really disrupt people's hands, and I think we're getting really close to having enough good hand hate that you can almost run like a full deck of that. Because between those and Unmasking the Conspiracy from last set, you have which is the yellow card from set 3, which you have to discard a card from your hand, and then you can look at an opponent's hand and discard a card from it. So technically, you could discard. You could pay on turn 1. You could do that. Discard a card, look at their hand, pick the card you don't want, make sure they have an event, and then they play their turn 1 play, and then you jam communications, and they left with 1 card in hand.
And you're left with 1 card in hand too.
You are technically yes.
So
Not to mention also the new Ahsoka unit, the 4-cost 3/5 that when played you can discard a card from your opponent's hand.
Yeah, they discard a card from their hand, but yes.
Right, yeah. So you can. There's a discard thing brewing in Yellow Hero for sure.
Yeah.
And it's it's not just like the red one where it's like, oh, I'm just discarding many cards. It's like, no, I can pinpoint the cards I want to take too. It's not just like random discards,
Correct.
I want to just the next card I'm going to talk about is a unique ship, and I wanted to remind people that who are interested in getting a Carbonite booster pack that they have this new card type called the Prestige card type, and those are only going to be, in this set at least, unique ships. And so, if some of these unique ships you think are really cool, they did talk about how some of them are actually going to be horizontal instead of vertical. The card, the picture, will be horizontal because they're such big ships. I imagine there's going to be one of those ships. But just so you know, if you are interested in really cool ships and you want a really cool version of it, the Carbonite booster packs will have that. So this card is making me really sad. It is a Command Villainy Legendary Executor. 11 cost. 12/12 Imperial Vehicle Capital Ship. Overwhelm. When played, on attack, when defeated, the first time we have those 3 keywords, those 3 triggers on the same card, create 3 TIE Fighter. And this card makes me sad because it's just, we already have 2 big Command Villainy ships, and really we only need 1, and this one isn't better. My favorite is still Devastator.
Yep.
Because when you play it, it has Sentinel, meaning that it has when played basically defeat a unit because you deal damage equal to a research you have. So it comes into play, defeats a unit, and clogs up a lane with a Sentinel keyword. So it just does something, and it obviously costs 10, so that's late in the game. With this
11.
thing,
oh, I'm sorry.
This costs 11, so it costs 1 more. Sure, it has more health and more toughness, but you play it and you get 3 tokens, but they don't do anything. I think this need to have ambush. I still don't think it would be good enough to play, but if it had ambush, then you could justify by saying, well, you can at least take out something and you create 6 TIE Fighter tokens, which I still don't think is good enough.
It would be great if it gave your opponent a TIE Fighter token, and it had an ambush overwhelm. 11 to the base, friend.
Ooh, that would see that then I can see that. Then I'd be like, okay, that's kind of spicy. But this is not it.
This is not it. This is another one of those legendaries that will not spark joy if you open it in a pack.
And again, we have two other command villainy ships, like, and Finalizer like wasn't it either. And so that's just makes me sad.
I think they're gonna look back at this like first like year of like developing the first 2 years of the game, and look at the big ships and be like, I think we overcost them. I think they were a little safe on the ships, if I'm being truthfully honest about that.
That's fair.
On the big capital ships, just to be very clear, for both sides.
Yeah. Let's one final pick from everyone. Quickly speed round. And Jrod is gonna start us off.
Oh baby, I wasn't ready. Pass.
Okay. Close the Gate. Very interesting card. People were close the Shield Gate. People were waiting for it. It's the 1 cost. Choose a base. The next time damage will be dealt to this this phase. Prevent that damage. Galactic Ambition. This is the card you're waiting. Dudeness.
I want to talk about what I think might be a top tier common for limited, which is the Kimogila Heavy Fighter. It's a 4 cost single aspect cunning, 3/4 space vehicle that says when played, deal 3 indirect damage to a player. Exhaust each unit damage this way. This is just a super solid common that I'm pretty sure I'm happy playing multiple copies in my sealed or draft decks.
Fair. Jrod, final card you want to speak on?
Let's see. I'm gonna do. I guess I'll do Out the Airlock. It's a 5 cost event. Vigilance tactic. Give a unit a -5/-5 for the phase, and it's a common. I think this card is very good. I think it's actually better than Vanquish. While Vanquish does deal with a lot of things, -5/-5 is a lot. So even if you have something that's an 8/8, it's a 3/3 now, right? And you can kind of take it out. This defeats a lot of leaders at 5. It makes a lot of leaders 0/1, so even a 1/1 can take it out once you use this. So I'm a big fan of this card. I think this card is pretty good for any blue control decks. So we'll see how that pans out. But I think that card is going to be pretty spicy and probably will find its way in my Palpatine list.
That's fair. And I want to briefly ask you guys, since we're coming up to around that time where they're going to announce it, do you think A, there should be any bans or any suspensions? And B, do you think there will be any bans or suspensions?
I
can't do this.
I don't think anything does need to be banned, personally. Which leads me to, I don't think there will be anything banned. Because nothing felt really as oppressive as Boba did during set 2.
So as the aggro player, I can understand that side of the way you think there. However, as the control/mid-range player, I would say that the way DJ is played and the unfairness of it, I think something needs to get done. I wouldn't mind if they errated it so that way Han can only defeat resources he owns, so that way he can't defeat yours. So even if you're stealing it with DJ, as soon as you're able to defeat DJ, you can kind of put parity back in place. You'll still be obviously behind, but because you'll have to waste your turn to defeat DJ and get stuff back together. But at least that way you can kind of get some parity back the next turn and try to push forward or potentially deploy your leader on that turn or whatever, etc. But I think something needs to get done. I think that the gameplay of Double Yellow Han with DJ is very unfun to play against. I know I've even had friends that have gone to locals and played against it multiple times and just I can't even play the game. And I feel like because of that feeling right there that people can't play Star Wars Unlimited when they're playing Star Wars Unlimited, right there tells me that something has to be done. I was against Boba Fett being banned because I did not feel like he stopped you from playing Star Wars Unlimited. I feel like he lets you play the game. Yes, he was good. Yes, he was powerful, but there was ways to beat him. But they made the choice, and it ended up being the correct choice, in my opinion. The meta has been great since then.
Yes.
And the meta is still good now. But I think that the gameplay style of DJ is just unfun to play against because it keeps decks from being able to play the game. It's not like outplaying you. It's just like you can't play and I can. And I don't think that's a fun way to play the game, personally.
I think I'm interested to see what especially double yellow on will do with Nabat Village. I'm hoping they're playtesting, and I'm assuming they are, that deck with that card, because now you're really having a high likelihood to get your tech DJ out because you can draw those extra cards, starting off with 9 potential options.
And you can you can resource those cards too, right? You can just resource them instead of having to put them on the bottom of the deck.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
The tech and DJ, right? So you have 9 cards, just resource the cards you want to resource, and then bottom the cards you don't care about, right? So.
Yep. Exactly. So that will make that more consistent. I think some of the things that we're seeing with Han, I think Han, DJ, Tech would be really the only thing that seems ban-worthy potential. And I think one of the things we're seeing with Han is we're seeing him now in other colors. I think we've seen victories in every color, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's one of those things that we were waiting for, apart from the wins, which they're getting. But also we saw that with Boba, where they're winning in multiple colors. So I am on team no ban. I think that there is still interaction with Force Choke, with Takedown, and you can definitely come back and say that those aren't good enough, and that's fine. And I trust FFG if they're keeping track on these things. I won't be surprised if they ban, and I won't be surprised if they don't or they suspend.
So I will quickly counter that with both of those are events, and in Double Yellow Han, they typically will go Han ability turn 1 Bodhi Rook, turn 2 Tech, turn 3 DJ. So even if you have those events, you need to have like multiple copies of ways to defeat them immediately. Otherwise, you're in trouble. Also, so it's one of those things where it's like it's tough to really say that events. Like, we would need a unit that can deal 5 damage on turn 4, which we don't currently have.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what FFG decides to do, but we are going to be getting that announcement probably next week. I imagine either this week or next week, and so we'll have to wait and see what they're choosing to do, what they'll tell us will be banned or suspended, and we'll have to just wait and see.
And one last thing before we close out real quick. I just want to thank everyone that's watched our podcast. This will be our 50th podcast, which is something that I didn't think we'd ever get to. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, it's been a tremendous ride. I know we just kind of had our yearly review, and I felt the same way. But now that we're actually at 50 and halfway to the century mark, we'll have to do something cool for 100 for sure. So we'll see when we hit that. It'll definitely be, I believe, next year probably at this point. But just want to thank everyone that's followed us, hits the likes button, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Appreciate all of it. The guys in the Discord that chat and hang out and do our leader guessing game that we just finished up. So in case y'all didn't know, we do a leader guessing game where you guess the leaders of the next set. So we'll do it for set 5. Basically, once set 5 is announced and we get a more understanding of what it could be, we'll start that up. We haven't had any prizes for that in the past, but I think moving forward, we're going to try to have some prizes for the winner. So definitely, if you want to join a free, fun event, and if you win it, you get a cool prize, hop in the Discord and come hang out and chat with us.
And as we're over 2/3 of Jump to Lightspeed spoiled, and hopefully we're going to get more spoilers soon to finish it off. Expect some more deck techs and some other videos coming from us soon.
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks very much, everyone. I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you next time on Outmaneuver.
Cheers, man.
Later.